Hey, everybody, off the top rope, off the Mike Sports Network here. I did a live video. Thanks to everybody who was active in the chat, who tuned in, who watched the replay. I just needed to, unleash a little bit, like just freshen the brain in terms of just everything that I saw on Dynamite. But, now I've just got an overriding take of the way this company has appeared since, you know, God, probably since they signed the new television contract back in October and that became official. This company is lazy. They are lazy. They do not care about you. All they care about is making money, and all they care about is the money making events, which are the pay per views. Because if they really cared about telling you a concrete and, engaging story, they would have given you a better episode than what you saw tonight. Because this is just embarrassing what happened tonight. Because nothing tangible, nothing tangible coming out of Revolution was advanced. Nothing tangible. The only thing that happened is something that I really think it pisses me off because you basically just rendered the bullshit that you did at the end of that show, rendered it meaningless, and you're going to double down and do it again with John Moxley versus Cope. And also, hey, let's just conveniently forget that we crowned a new number one contender in Swerve Strickland, and we're just going to have a match in the middle of that because, hey, we had a convenient out because they want to get away with having to actually tell a convenient story between John Moxley and Swerve Strickland ahead of Dynasty. They did give Swerve Strickland a promo, but it's like you don't need to just do these basic things that create lazy levels of storytelling, like have another tournament to determine who faces Kenny Omega. That's another example of laziness, just laziness. And it frustrates me as a fan of professional wrestling, as a fan of just engaging content. And I have suffered through some bad eras of storytelling and bad eras of, content in the wrestling space. I went through Vince McMahon near the end. Like Vince McMahon, I would say for about a good decade and a half was as bad as there was, but at least he made some stuff engaging from time to time. But once it got to be about like 2018, 2019 through about 2021, 2022, that was about as bad as it got. 2022 in particular, before he, retired, resigned, or was forced out, however you want to look at it, it was bad. AEW, with the roster that they have, there is really just no other excuse, and then they're lazy. They just don't want to write a compelling television show. They're cashing checks. They don't care. Their boss doesn't want to tell them what to do. And it comes down to like, hey, you had a pay-per-view that everybody's heralding as this great show with the shit ending. And then you have a chance to come back after NXT had one of the better shows in recent memory, at least under this new regime under Shawn Michaels, one of their better top to bottom shows that they've ever had. You have a chance to retaliate from that. You've had more leeway coming off of your pay-per-view, which you didn't really, in my mind, capitalize off of the momentum or the momentum for WWE after the John Cena heel turn. And, WWE kind of had a flat Monday Night Raw outside of the Rollins Punk cage match. And this is what you give us? This is what you give us? Like I said, there was some stuff on here that I liked, but none of it was like really engaging. It was like saying, man, I really can't wait to get on the road to Dynasty. Whoo! Yeah, I can't wait for that. Again, you end your show with Orange Cassidy versus Hechicero. Hechicero, who's not even a wrestler contracted to AEW. You end with that. Granted, you started with Kenny Omega, but then you go from that to a random trios match. Like the first 30 minutes of the show, they jammed a lot of shit in them at nothing. Like it felt like an episode of Rampage at points where it was just like they weren't trying. They were just throwing shit out there. I mean, good to see Toni Storm, and we see kind of the semblance of what her next feud is, but okay, cool. Will Ospreay cuts a promo. He's seemingly moving on. We're kind of advancing towards the Owen Hart Cup. Great, another tournament, and they're going to have to use them. But it's like, it's not that hard when you have talented people in your company that you could tell a compelling story and you can engage us. And the one thing that they kind of did that was a little bit interesting, like I know they're keeping Hangman and MJF kind of going. MJF's got this thing going with MVP, but that was it. That was really it in terms of like, okay, damn, I want to come back and see what they do next week. World title picture, they're running back the match that everybody hated. They're running back the match that everybody hated, except with a stipulation, a street fight. Great. We know what's going to happen. The Death Riders are going to run, and we know how this is going to go. And they're just trying to create some level of intrigue, saying, "Oh yeah, it may not be Mox and Swerve. It's going to be Mox and Swerve. Come on, what are we doing? Like this is, it just gets to me when, and like I said, this is when people watch this, or some people who are AEW fans watch this and see somebody like me or somebody like JD from New York or some of these other people like Solid Monster, all these people that I respect, who I may not agree with, but I respect because they have a voice and they have a power to connect with the wrestling audience, and they have their legions of fans. I'm trying to aspire to be something like that. I'm not even close to what those guys are. But the point is that we all love professional wrestling at its core. We all do. And what I have discovered specifically, through this whole AEW rise and then WWE with the changing of the guard with Triple H now taking over, is the emphasis in storytelling. Like a lot of we got engaged on NXT Black and Gold, and I've talked about this here on this channel. NXT Black and Gold really was an emphasis on great, in-ring storytelling, great matches, great wrestling. And, what Triple H has done is he's kind of brought that to the main roster, but he's also emphasized really on engaging storylines and engaging things that are going to keep his audience coming back on a week-to-week basis. He did that. For God's sake, CM Punk didn't wrestle for a large chunk of last year, and he was still an engaging on-screen character despite not being able to wrestle. That takes that takes a little bit of effort, but it's not hard. And for whatever reason, AEW just continues to do the bare minimum, the basic stuff just to get through a week to week. And then they're banking, okay, our pay-per-views are as good as they are. You're going to spend $50 because it's going to be great wrestling. And great. That's awesome that you guys have great pay-per-views, and that's a good thing to, hang your hat on. But at some point, people are going to get tired of seeing the same thing, and that's where I'm at. It's like this is the same redundant pattern that I've seen after almost every single pay-per-view. They continuously just do the bare minimum. They'll get through a couple weeks of television with some little tournament or some little mini thing to get them to some of these other feuds, or maybe they'll have a match with a champion to get them to, and have that be a hurdle to get to the next match at the pay-per-view. It's just like these same redundant strategies and these booking things that are so lazy and so basic when you've got young, youthful, talented people who have been in the wrestling business who are being paid a lot of money just, putting their feet up and just twiddling their thumbs. It's not fair. It's not fair for a lot of people who really love this company. And if you're like a diehard or has something invested in it and you still enjoy this, good for you. But this is not good television when you basically, because even the diehards of the diehards, the sickos, admit that main event on Sunday at Revolution was not good. And the fact that they're doing it again is ridiculous. When they already have another number one contender, this is universally considered one of the worst main events in company history, one of the worst endings in company history, and yet they still found a way to do this again. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we'll have a world heavyweight championship match on free television. Maybe that'll give us the audience." That's the only thing I can think of that makes this make any level of sense. And even then, you're fighting an uphill battle. Like it's not good, and it's embarrassing for AEW when they continually have this issue of just not being able or not wanting to fundamentally try and, just feed us good content, good television. Because at the end of the day, even if it's a wrestling company, this is an episodic television show. It is an episodic television show, which means from week to week, you are supposed to connect the dots in each story. Okay? That it's like any one of your favorite shows that you watch on television. You are engaging these characters so you can get them to watch every single week. When you do shit like this is not going to get people to watch your show. That's my problem. So listen, if you liked it, that's fine. But like I said, there was things I liked individually here. It wasn't the worst show ever, but the fact that it was after a pay-per-view and you're starting to build in the next thing, and I've seen this before, I've seen this movie before, it's getting old, man. Do something different, please. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye.